What's up, traders? So today's going to be a tough one. Lots of tickets. Went from red to green back to actually pretty red. The infamous cliffs that I keep telling you guys that I wasn't going to let happen. Well, we kind of let one happen today. So let's get to it. All right, traders. So obviously I'm not going to be doing the live trades today. I actually did make 3 good live trades this morning. This is actually 3 different trades. Well, 4 different trades total on this ticker CAG. Got in, got out, got back in, got out, got back in, and then we got out when it went high of day for a paper cut there. So that was actually a pretty good win. Just to go over the one down here on GSKY, same kind of thing. Got in, felt the top, actually got in after we had kind of felt like it was done, more on the back end of the move there, and covered into the wash down there. Coming back up here to CAG, you will see that we entered a new position here, added. These were, of course, I was using 50 shares here, and then I decided to go for 100 here because I felt like it was pretty extended again. And it just kind of kept extending itself, kind of went sideways. And instead of cutting here like I probably should have, we decided to fight this thing. So I started averaging up. So I was taking an add, and then I was taking it off. As you can see, that didn't happen here because we went higher. But then I did it again, took an add, went down about 15 cents, took those shares off. So basically all we were doing was weathering the storm, trying to get our average up, and just taking small wins within the trade itself. Yeah, it's Lightning McQueen. So as we kept climbing, I kept doing it, and then obviously it stopped, and we started this little bit of a downtrend. And as you can see, we scaled out the rest of our position, and we actually ended up green on this. That's cruise. So all was fine and dandy. Before I pull up my account to show you the damage, I just want you to see the trade that happened. So this popped up on the scanners, and mistake number 1 was it popped up, and by the time I pulled this back up, it was already back down to this area of 66.50, and it started to come back up, and it just felt like it didn't want to keep going, and we were pretty extended, and it just kind of felt like, okay, we might be on the back end of this, kind of like down here on GSKY. And so we jumped in. We jumped in with 50 shares. It kind of went up, but again, it felt like it was done. So we added 50 shares looking for this to just kind of double top. And once again, we hit it as it kind of just was creeping up a little bit, but we were so extended at that point. And right here at high of day, it actually went up a little bit higher and then came back down. So we hit it again. So this was kind of like our, okay, this is where we're done, because that's technically our 112, right? 50, 50, and then 100 from the other 2 50s. And boy, I wish I would have cut it, because it came down just a little bit, kind of touched this 68, a little bit under 68, and just shot right back up. I mean, it didn't even give me a chance. The spread was really bad. It went right to 68.50. So it's not that I was a deer in headlights. It just didn't really make sense to get out on that pop. But what I should have done is the ad here isn't bad. It was just another 50 shares. When this pulled back and I realized that it wasn't going higher, I should have just cut the whole thing, or going lower. I should have just cut the whole thing. But instead, I decided to say, screw you, and I was already, like, this was totally a revenge trade based off of getting stopped out here for some unknown reason. I was green on the day at this point. Even after this, I was green on the day. And this, I was literally sitting down to do my video on the day, and this just popped up on the scanner, and I decided to go freaking ham on it for whatever reason. And I'm not making excuses. There's no one to blame but myself, but I was not 100% today. I was trading on 2.5 hours of sleep. I had to watch my nephew on top of my 2 kids this morning for about, I think it was pretty much during this whole trade. He came over around 10:30. And he left around 12:45. So it was pretty much the majority of this trade, which I was going to originally show that I wasn't even like sitting at my desk for most of this. It was kind of me just running back and forth. And we shouldn't be trading like that. Should have just took this as a blessing and stopped and been done for the day and moved on. But this kind of felt like this, this was the trades that I'm looking for, the big pops. And then going back to the mistakes on this trade, mistake number 2 was I didn't hit the daily before getting in, and look at this huge red candle. This huge red candle down. So obviously there was probably some kind of bad news, and then there was obviously some kind of news that came out to rectify it. And where would that put this stock? Pretty much right back to where it was trading before. And if I had known that, I would never have been in down here under 67.50. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Our first entry on this thing was at 67. Absolutely horrible looking back in hindsight. And it all goes back to just not being 100%. There's all kinds of different factors in your life. It could be your diet. It could be your sleep. It could be your kids. Just, your mental focus has to be here 100%, or things like this are going to happen and you're just going to get caught off guard. And that's exactly what happened today. So with no further ado, there's the damage. It was a $706.50 loss. It's a pretty huge loss for my account. It's about 10%. Granted, the other 2 trades, or 5 trades that I took today, helped that number out just a little bit. But 43 tickets, that's the most I've ever traded. Even when I traded MTSI, I didn't have that much. On a day where I was not 100%, I had so much going on, 2.5 hours of sleep. There's no way I should have ever been trading this much. Just an absolutely horrible mistake on my part, and there's no one to blame but myself. So all we can do is suck it up, learn from our mistake, and don't let it happen again. That's a pretty big hit, and it sucks. And of course, it's right before the holidays, so it sucks even more. But we're gonna take it, and we're gonna move on. That's all we can do. And I'm just going to drag this over. I haven't even looked at this yet. I'm kind of scared to see how bad it looks, but we can add it together because it's part of the journey. It's going to look pretty bad, unfortunately. Let's go to the overview. We're going to see a little bit of a cliff that we do not want to see. These little jumps, speed bumps, whatever I was calling them, bumps in the road, those are acceptable. This is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. We hit that key point of $7,000 in our account, and I don't know, it was like a little bit of a switch clicked in me. I said, let's get brave. And I think that's kind of what caused the overtrading today. I honestly, it's going to take a little bit, probably tonight, maybe even all day tomorrow, to kind of self-reflect a little bit and figure out why this happened. I mean, I have a good idea why it happened. I've kind of explained it already, but it's just one of them things where it stings. You're slowly building, and you just literally from August, I've been slowly building, and with the small account, it's a grind with the commissions and all that stuff, the fees, everything. And to just give it all back in one trade like that, it's unacceptable. And that's why a lot of people, disagree with this strategy. But the strategy had nothing to do with this. It wasn't the strategy that failed. It was me. I'm the one that failed here. Just going back to look at the chart, there's so many different things that I could have done, obviously in hindsight, but just like MTSI when it happened, even though it was a little bit more of a different trade, the cut should have been over here. It should not have been all the way over here. This happens all the time. You control your trades. At any given time, you can pause your trade, you can add your trade, you can cut your trade, you can take half of your trade off. Like, you have the power to do everything. You're in control. And the more and more I realize that, the more and more it is, it starts to click. And, this is why everyone says it, experience is key. Because until you go through this enough, until you embed it into your head, it's just going to keep happening. So that's all I got for you guys. Hopefully I'm not being too much of a Debbie Downer. Sorry for not showing the live trades. I'll have them on my computer. I'll probably upload them later at some point just for myself so that I have them. But this was a bummer. This was definitely a bummer. And so I like and subscribe. I know a lot of people like to see these big losses to kind of make them feel a little bit better about themselves. But I never wish that on you guys. So just kind of bear with me here as I kind of process everything that happened today. And I'll see you tomorrow. We'll probably end up talking about this tomorrow night on the live stream. Granted, I'm pretty sure I'll be home in time because I have a Christmas party tomorrow night, but I should be home before 9:30. So with that, guys, I'm going to let you go, and I'll see you tomorrow morning for the live stream. Peace.